welcome to the Joe Cortez Show here in Las Vegas, Nevada, the entertainment and sports capital of the world. Today we have a special guest with us, someone that I met way back in 2006 here in Las Vegas. And she has a lot to talk to you about, a lot of good information that's needed out there, especially what's going on with the crimes and whatnot. Honorable Natalie Terrell. Welcome to the show, Natalie.
Joe, it is such a pleasure to be here with you, my friend.
Yeah, I tell you, we go back a number of years, and I remember when we first met, and it was amazing. And here we are, 2023. All these years, you haven't changed a bit.
Well, thank you so much.
Now, how many years have you been on the Justice Court?
I have been on the bench there over 23 years.
23 years.
I am, my term next year, my fourth term ends in the end of the year 2024, and at that time I am going to be retiring, Joe.
So what are you going to be doing on your retirement years?
Well, I will have the option to be a senior judge, and I'm going to continue to serve in that way.
Okay.
I also, as you know, I am licensed with the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and so I'm going to continue to do that as well as a judge for boxing and travel and enjoy life, Joe.
Yeah, a lot of you fans out there, probably a lot of you viewers, wanted a boxing judge. Well, it happened when I met her. I know she was a judge, and she told me that she liked boxing. She recognized me as a referee, and I told her, you like boxing? I said, let's have lunch next week. The following week, I made some phone calls. The following week, I came back with her, and I said, Justice Natalie Terrell, I have an offer for you. I know you're a judge on the bench, but I want to give you another position as a judge in boxing. And she blew her mind. You couldn't believe it when I told you that. And then you did about 8 years in the amateurs.
10 years.
10 years. 10 years in the amateurs, and then I said, yeah, I think you're ready to go pro. And if that's thing you know, I refer you to the commission, and you got licensed as a professional judge. How many years you been judging now as a referee, as a judge in boxing?
I've been with the commission since 2018.
2018,
yeah.
Okay. But anyway, let's talk about the reason why I brought you on the show was because I know that a lot of our viewers out there need a lot of information of what's going on. And I remember you invited me in and former world champion Sean Porter and some other individuals, some champions, and you had some prisoners in shackles sitting behind us to talking to some of the juveniles that were there with their parents. Can you tell us a little bit about your program, Life of Crime, in North Las Vegas?
Yeah, so first off, when I got elected, I believe it is very important to use the position for community outreach. In addition to serving on the bench every day, I think it's important to serve the community and especially our youth and to be a role model for them. And so I have been involved in many youth programs over the years. I developed a Kids in the Court program. The program that you're specifically talking about, it was called The Life of Crime, and that was put on, sponsored by the North Las Vegas Municipal Court. And at that time, Judge Van Lanschut had invited me to be involved as well. And I asked you to come in, and Joe, you made such an impact on those kids. The program would put inmates in front of children, and so they could hear what did they do wrong, what caused them now to be serving a life of crime, rather than being able to live a life like you and I do. And I remember you came in and you got a young man involved in boxing,
right,
which has always, I felt, is important. Sometimes youth have energies that they use for bad, and if they're redirected, they can use them for good. And I believe that with boxing, that youth can use their energies in boxing for good.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, it happens. Some of these youngsters, they're out there, and they're kind of lost, especially what's going on these days with all the crimes, and after the pandemic, and the kids, all the anxiety and the depression and whatnot kicks in. So I tell parents, try to get your kids involved in different kind of sports. It doesn't have to be boxing, but that day I took advantage of me being an ex-fighter myself and a referee and having Sean Porter there. They're talking about these kids. I would have tried to get them on the right track. Do you remember the incident that happened that afternoon when I was talking to this one kid? Do you remember exactly what happened?
I do.
Well, tell the viewers
Well,
that.
you pulled this young man. He didn't have a great attitude,
Right.
and you pulled him up and you took off your jacket and told him, "We can go out in the ring."
We got a ring next to us, a ring back there. You're big and bad. Let's see what you got. I'm an old man. I said, let's go in the back. Show me what you got. I got a boxing ring in the back room there. And what did he do? What did he say then?
He wasn't so.
He wasn't so tough anymore.
He wasn't tough. Yeah. So. Yeah, and as far as my Kids in the Court program goes, which you've been involved in and spoken, that's a two-part program. I actually go down to the school and I meet with the kids. They learn about me. They learn about my path to where I'm at. That I am the first woman judge in North Las Vegas, and I'm very proud of that.
Right, we're very proud of you for that.
And I talked to them about coming from a very small town in Minnesota, and I followed my dream, and the way I did that was education. And the emphasis of that program is about staying in school, which over the years has been problematic for a number of people here in Nevada, and we want those numbers to go up, and we want kids to graduate, and we want them to continue their education beyond that. And then I bring them to the court, and they meet everybody that I work with. It isn't just a judge in the court. We have clerks. We have marshals. So the kids could be involved in a career in the court at very different levels of education. And many of the students I run into in North Las Vegas, I've been doing the program since 2002 with CP Squires. Those kids, a lot of them, English is their second language.
Now, is this like an intern type of a program? Like an intern, they come in and they get credit and they're in school for that? Coming to the courthouse?
Well, the school has very much valued what the program has instilled in these students. A lot of the students are now setting goals for themselves. Mm-hmm. And fifth grade is a kind of a critical year because next year you're going to be going to middle school and you're going to be the youngest and there's going to be a lot of peer pressure. So meeting with them and helping them understand the court system and the trouble they could get in additionally before they move up to middle school is very important.
Sure. Now, do you have these kids that, one of the gentlemen you spoke about before that got into my boxing program after me speaking at the courthouse, I remember that I got a call from a young man, I believe his last name was Medina, and he called me and said, Mr. Cortez, I just called to tell you that I want to thank you for the lecture you gave me one day. And I said, I invited you to my house. My grandmother made dinner for you. And I said, you remember who I am? I said, yeah, I remember who you are. He said, I got in your boxing program. I just want to let you know that now I'm in the Marines. I'm a sergeant in the Marines. So that made me feel really good knowing that we got this kid out of gangs, out of drugs, and they turned out to be a nice, fine young man. I don't know if he made a career, but a number of years ago I got a call from him letting me know that how much he learned by me speaking to him, putting him on the right track. You know? That
is such a wonderful outcome, and that's the stories we want to hear. There are a number of community programs that our court is involved in, and one of them, for example, is National Night Out. And such a joy for me when kids come over and say, that's the judge, to their parents. That's the judge, that spoke to me and that, came to our school and invited us to the court and is the one that really made me interested in pursuing that kind of a career.
Well, but you're the first female judge in North Las Vegas, right? And you also was the first chief judge?
I was the first chief judge of the North Las Vegas Justice Court as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great accomplishment. Not many people can toot their horn about that. You really made a lot of changes, a lot of good things in Nevada.
And I'm so proud of it. And, sometimes being the first isn't always the easiest,
Right.
but you persevere.
Sure.
And if you do that, you'll be successful.
What can you tell the parents out there watching the show today that about with all the pandemic and the depression and the anxiety? There's so much crime going on now. I know a lot's got to do with different restrictions, whatever. But can you tell us what can we do? How can we help out? How can we educate some of our viewers out there about what's going on in the world today?
I think it's really, really important to communicate with your kids. And it isn't always easy. Teenagers, believe me, I have a son who is now 31 and is an engineer, but when he was a teenager, it wasn't always easy to communicate, but you have to make it a point. You have to know what's going on in their life, what's going on at school. Are they attending? Are they doing their homework? Who are the people they are hanging out with when they're in their off time? Are these people friends? Are they really not friends? What I always tell the students is, if somebody is trying to do something that deep in your gut is not right, is going to get you in trouble, are they really your friend? Friends are people that you can count on, who care about you, and certainly don't want to see you get involved in the criminal justice system. So sometimes the parents have to really be the instigators, and they really have to stay on what is going on in their kid's life.
Right. Now, there's a lot of mental health issues for some of these youngsters out there. And there's a lot of, you hear these shootings in schools and whatnot. How can the parents, if they hear something, or they see something, the relatives or the family, brothers, sisters, they should follow through, call up somebody, let them know there's so much going on, so many shootings. Like every month you hear about shooting, whether it's a mall or a school or something. What advice can you give our viewers out there in reference to keeping these kids on the right track when it comes to weapons? And first of all, they shouldn't have weapons, but how they get them, who knows? Whether they buy them or they steal them or whatever. What good advice can you give our viewers out there in reference to these juveniles with guns and shootings?
Well,
and mental health.
We certainly do live in a society where these scary events are taking places now, and it's not always easy, but if you are aware of a friend or family member who has a weapon and is unstable and has made comments that you've heard or comments that you've seen on social media, you need to act. You need to report it. The courts some of the courts do have some mental health programs that do try to deal with it after the fact, but the only way to stop it beforehand is to stop it before it happens. And so that is being diligent about what you see and hear and reporting it.
Right. You hear so much of these, here in Nevada, you don't hear too much of it in Nevada, but once in a while you hear somebody carrying some kind of a weapon in school or whatnot. I know the Clark County School District, Police Department are doing a great job, following through with that, but sometimes they have to call the Metro Police to come in for assistance, because sometimes a couple of months ago you heard about somebody had a weapon in a school, and it was maybe somebody just said something, but the news spread so quick that they ended up put a lockdown in the school, and I think they got the kid who was saying it, but they were going to confiscate it. But you hear sometimes things that happen around the country where these students sometimes they have mental health issues, and I think that's where the parents, who's ever the guardian, should be saying something, making sure that you follow through with the activities of your children, see what they're doing, see if they're out there, and who they're hanging out with. Are they smoking marijuana? Because now marijuana is legal like in 21 different states, which I'm against that, but it's out there. And I think a lot of the kids, they're trying different drugs, and these things are getting a little bit out of control. It scares me to see that because I have grandchildren myself, and I don't want them to get involved, but it could happen to the best of families.
It certainly can. I mean, it seems like it's across all classes, Joe.
Right.
You don't have to be a poor family to just get in trouble. There's folks who come from more affluent families that are in trouble as well. And even though marijuana is legal, it's not legal for students.
Right.
They don't meet the age requirement, so they certainly should not be having it.
Right. Well, what can you tell us about the Senior Citizen Law Program? It's a project that you were involved with. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Happily, Joe. So I worked for the Senior Citizens Law Project for 9 years before I got elected to this seat in 2000. And it's just really a great program that provides legal assistance to seniors 60 and older. For example, you can come in for a consultation, you can come in and have a will done or a power of attorney. When I worked for that project, I did a great deal of outreach to senior communities throughout Clark County. So anyone who's 60 or older, it's certainly a resource for them, and they should take advantage of it.
Yeah, yesterday I was at the YMCA in North Las Vegas, actually on Buffalo and Centennial Hills. There's a YMCA that I went to speak to some seniors, and you probably know Deanne Cameron, who's she's the chairperson of the senior outreach program that they have, and she invited me to be a speaker to try to talk to the seniors about my ups and downs as a senior myself and what I went through with the COVID situation and how I inspired the seniors about, that you can believe in yourself and take care of yourself. But there's a lot of individuals that were there also talking about if there's the fire drills for seniors. If there's a fire, some seniors don't know what to do because they don't know if you got like 3 minutes to get out of the house or out of your apartment. You got to find a way to get out. There's a lot of programs with the senior program, for the seniors that educate them on what to do and what not to do. There's a lot of scams a lot of scam artists out there taking advantage of seniors. They a lot of scam calls, or you get emails, and the seniors are quick to. There's ages between 18 and maybe 25, the younger ones, and then anybody over 55, 60 and up, they try to scam you. They go after the young ones, inexperienced, and over the seniors because they're more vulnerable to give in to the scammers. You hear so much going on about that. What advice can you give our seniors about the scam artists out there?
And in fact, I have spoken in the past. There used to be an event that the police department in North Las Vegas put on, which was for seniors. It was a crime prevention day. And in fact, I would attend and I would speak to them about the scams. I think all of us tend to want to give people the benefit of the doubt. And unfortunately, if we don't initiate contact with someone, we shouldn't, in fact, do that. If somebody reaches out to you and be it through the telephone, be it through email, even in person, if they reach out to you and they want to initiate and get your private financial information, don't do it. You have to be the initiator. If you are and you make the decision you want to purchase something or subscribe to something, and then you can give that information, but never give it to someone that you are not the initiator for.
Right. It happens so much. I hear so many people get ripped off all the time on a regular basis. You get all these scam calls almost every day on your phone. You get a call, and you got to just pick it up, or you recognize the number, hang up, don't even bother answering. If it's that important, let them leave a message, and you call them back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now you got an award for the Elliott Site Excellence Award a few years back. Can you tell us a little bit about that award?
Yeah, the American Judges Association gives out an annual award for education, and I did receive that award in 2019 for my Kids in the Core program.
Okay.
And so I am so proud of that program and what it's accomplished, and to have a national judges organization acknowledge it makes me so happy.
Yeah, great. Well, we're very proud of you, with your accomplishment. I think I'm going to start a little committee to get Judge Nellie Terrell not to retire next year. Maybe we're going to get her to stay another 5 more years at least. But you're still young. You still got so much. You always giving out so much to the community. But you said when you do plan to retire, you want to go as a senior judge. You said?
Yes.
And that entails what?
Well, then I will fill in as other judges need. So if they are gone for judicial education or conference or illness, I will be available to fill in for
so
them.
You'll be back in your black robe again?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So you're like a regular judge? It's just like a substitute?
It's like a substitute.
Okay, that's great.
Yes.
That's great.
So, it won't be every day, but I'll be on call, Joe.
Yeah, well, you have all the wisdom and knowledge about all these things that you've gone through so many years. Now, these individuals, going back to the young folks out there, I know that it kind of be kind of hard on you to kind of sentence these juveniles for committing crimes or whatever. I mean, what advice can you give the parents out there watching to avoid your kids from going through you hate to send them to prison or whatever, but I mean, sometimes they're repeated offenders and they have to continue. You have to do something about it.
So I don't handle a lot of juvenile cases. Most of those cases are handled in the 8th Judicial District Juvenile Court. But unfortunately, I see the worst of the worst. These are juveniles who are certified as adults, which is such an unfortunate situation because once they're certified as an adult, they are treated as an adult. They are put in an adult jail. They are prosecuted as an adult. And so all I can say to you, I can plead with you, is do not commit crimes as a juvenile because it will follow you the rest of your life. And the most heinous crimes, such as, Class A felonies, murder, robbery, sexual assault, you will end up in an adult court like mine.
Yeah, and doing some serious time too, because I mean, this kind of crimes are really the kind of crimes that you don't want to see anybody commit, but they do them. Sometimes you wonder, is there mental issues or what? Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. Sometimes that's the way they got to live. They live that way because that's the way maybe they come from a home where the parents were like were criminals themselves, and they're drinking and drugs and whatnot at home, and the kids see that and they fall right into it. They say the fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree, and that's what happens to these kids sometimes. Yeah,
sometimes environment is very much
right.
The emphasis that they grow up under, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, they think my parents can do it, why not me? And they treat them like a second nature. No big deal. And they think until they get caught, and then they keep going to the courthouse. They get sent away for a period of time. They're back, then they go back in again. Like you said, that the rap sheet, it follows you for the rest of your life. You try to get a decent job, you can't get a decent job. You'll be whatever doing the lousy jobs.
So when I sentence someone, I suspend a jail sentence. And so what that means is that, for example, if you're found guilty or you decide to plead guilty and take a negotiation with the state, you may be sentenced to a number of things, Joe. It might be fines, it might be restitution, community service, counseling, all of that. But the bottom line is, some people then do what they do and get their cases closed. But unfortunately, other people never take responsibility. They don't do it. And so ultimately, when that happens, I will have to impose that suspended sentence, and they will ultimately spend time in jail.
Unbelievable. It's sad to see that, because I say that some of the parents out there watching, you have children, and you hate to see your children to go through these difficult times. I mean, it hurts a lot. And the parents, sometimes the parents are the sweetest, kindest parents, but the children are involved with the wrong friends out there, the wrong parties. They do the wrong things, and that breaks their hearts, you know. And not only destroys they themselves, but destroys the whole family. Everybody's heart breaks everybody in the family. The brothers, sisters, father, mother, grandparents, everybody gets hurt by one stupid incident that you may commit as a youngster not thinking.
It's very true, Joe.
Yeah, and that's the sad part about it. And not only the individual himself, but the whole family suffers, you know, because of these crimes. You know, and then it's very embarrassing, you know, for the parents, you know, to say, how's your son or how's your daughter, you know. You hate to even talk about it because you're embarrassed to tell them what's going on with your children sometimes. It is really, really sad. It touches my heart a lot. Maybe that's why I've been involved a lot to help it out there. Because I come from a single parent home, but my mother did the right things by us, and we followed her good advice. And I got involved into boxing. I met somebody, Gaspar Ortega, back in New York when I was 12 years old, and that's when I got introduced to boxing, and that's how I started. It kept me on the right track, and my brother Mike, my brother Richie, my brother Ralphie, the four of us. And everybody came out okay. But sometimes you get parents out there that don't give good advice to these kids, and you got to show them a lot of love and attention at home, you know, and no cussing and arguing in the house. I mean, I don't never do that. I don't cuss, I don't fight, I don't argue. That's not my style.
You know, my position has always been is to keep your kids busy. To keep them involved in things, because if they're idle and they have time on their hands, sometimes it's going to end up in trouble. Right. You know, I encourage my son to be involved in youth sports, in clubs. He ended up being an Eagle Scout, which I'm very proud of, right. Being in Scouts for many years. And if you keep kids engaged, it helps keep them out of trouble. Yeah,
for sure. I think that keep them involved with something, some kind of sport, or it could be theatrical, it could be music, something that keeps them, like you say, got to keep them involved with something. You know, every time they come home after school, you know, make sure that there's something for them to do between three. Sometimes the parents are working, and that's when it's dangerous. Where both parents are out working, the kids come home from school, they got all these hours before the parents come home. They got 3 or 4 hours in there. That could be the danger zone. You know, like from 4 to 8 o'clock at night. And that's why these kids sometimes the kids hang out into wee hours of the evening. And they got to go to school the next day. You know, and they go to school, they're tired, and they don't want to do their homework. There's so many things that go bad because the parents are not leading them in the right direction.
You know, nobody ever said it was easy to be a parent. Mm-hmm. You're a parent, I'm a parent. Yeah. You know, everybody goes through, you know, struggles with their kids. But I just can't impress more so being involved, communicate, and keeping them engaged.
Right.
It's necessary.
Exactly. And somebody, you know, Natalie, I wanted to ask you, now there's a different court, there's a municipal court, there's a district court, there's a court of appeals, there's Supreme Court. And, you know, can you tell us a little bit about the difference of these different courts here in the state of Nevada?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. The municipal court is the lowest level court in the state, and it is a city court. Mm-hmm. So its boundaries are the city, and they handle traffic and misdemeanors. My court, Justice Court, is a county level court, and I handle a variety of things. I do handle misdemeanors. I do handle felonies up until the preliminary hearing. I handle eviction cases. I handle any civil case up to $15,000, and any small claims case up to $10,000, as well as stalking and harassment restraining orders. And so the next level is district court. And so that's the court where if you're called for jury duty, you're likely to go. For example, if I have a murder case in North Las Vegas and I hear a preliminary hearing and I determine there's enough evidence for it to stand trial, it's going to go to the district court. And then beyond the district court, we have 2 levels of appellate court. The Nevada Court of Appeals, which is relatively new, and then ultimately the Nevada Supreme Court.
Well, you heard it there. That's very interesting information. We want to thank Honorable Natalie Terrell on the show today. Thank you for all the great information you gave our viewers today. Thanks a lot. And tell our viewers out there to keep your guards up at all times and protect yourselves at all times. We'll catch you next week. Natalie Terrell, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.